Hi, my name's Xteen. I've challenged myself to cook something different every day for 30 days. Today is day 7, and I'm making roasted broccoli and chickpea burritos. I'm actually surprised I haven't made these for you guys before because this is one of my favorite recipes. It's based on a recipe from Thug Kitchen, which has since been rebranded to Bad Manners for reasons. And you can tell that it's one of my favorite recipes because the seam is broken. I'm not gonna make these exactly the way it's written in this recipe. I'm changing up just a few things, some of the seasoning, a few of the ingredients, and a big one is that we're making this all in. We're gonna make this entire recipe all in this one deep pan. We're not gonna get any other dishes dirty today. I'm a vegetarian, I do eat cheese and some dairy, but this recipe is totally vegan, and I'll be honest, you won't even miss the cheese. I know what you're thinking, a burrito with no cheese, that sounds insane, but I promise, these are really good. Okay, the first thing we need to do is chop up all of our veggies. We want them all to be roughly the size of a chickpea. We want these burritos to have a pretty uniform texture. So I'm going to use this handy dandy chopper thing where you slam it down like this. Let's start with the broccoli. So we just put your veg on top there, and then you just go, oh. Okay, this thing does seem broken. New plan, I'm gonna chop the veggies by hand. Well, we chopped a little bit of broccoli. We're gonna dump it right into the baking sheet or roasting pan. It's called a roasting pan. I could not for the life of me think of what this was called a minute ago. It's called a roasting pan. What is this? The recipe calls for 1 large crown of broccoli. That's approximately what I'm using today. Normally I would do a little bit more because I like to have leftovers of this recipe. All right, and we're just gonna dump all of our broccoli into the roasting pan. Next, I'm going to chop up all these peppers, and I might throw a habanero in there too, just to be a little nuts. The recipe calls for 1 large red bell pepper. Actually, it just says 1 red bell pepper, but I normally choose a large one. But I had these peppers on hand, and I think they're gonna work really well. I'm just gonna dice these up, and I'm not gonna worry about the seeds. These are relatively mild, I think, so. I'm not sure why I chose to cut these in such a chaotic fashion. That looks great. Let's add it to the roasting pan. I'm gonna chop the habanero now. Oh, these are like the tiniest gloves of all time. Help me. Oh, it fits on that hand. I'm gonna put on gloves so I don't burn my skin. And I'm not gonna de-seed this because I'm only using 1 into the roasting pan. Now it's time for the onion, and I'm gonna try a little trick where you put a wet paper towel on 1 corner of the cutting board, and this is supposed to help with the tears situation. And I am a crier when it comes to cutting onions, so I'm hoping for the best, but I'm expecting the worst. I think you're supposed to leave the end on? Oh, it's starting. Oh, I did it so wrong. I didn't do it right. Okay, well that's 1/2. 1/2 is done. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Oh, this half wasn't as bad as the first half. Maybe that's because I left the bottom on that half. Stringy part. Or whatever it is. It's not stringy, I don't know. It's like, it looks like the butthole of the onion, I'll be honest. You tell me. You tell me what you see when you see that. You were thinking it. For the thumbnail. Okay. Let's press on. Okay, that's all the chopping we have to do. Now it's time for chickpeas. You wanna use 2 15-ounce cans of chickpeas, or I'm just gonna use 1 29-ounce can. I'm gonna rinse these, and then I'm gonna dump them in the roasting pan. Okay, now all that's left to do is add our spices, mix this around, bake it, and then eat it. We're gonna start with 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I've already preheated the oven to 425 degrees. Next, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Okay, and this is another area where we're really deviating from the recipe as it's written. The recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of chili powder. That is not enough. I feel like I normally add 1 to 2 tablespoons. I'm just gonna eyeball. Next, we're gonna add cumin. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon. Again, I'm gonna add way more than that. Next is paprika. Again, same thing. The recipe calls for a teaspoon. I'm gonna add a lot more than that. Maybe not a full tablespoon of the paprika, but more than a teaspoon. And finally, I'm gonna add some red pepper. Not a lot of this. This would be about a teaspoon. Especially since I already added the habanero, I don't need it to be crazy. You may have noticed that there's been garlic sitting on the table this whole time. We're going to add this, but we're gonna add it halfway through baking. Why? I don't know. The recipe says to do that, and I've just always done it. Okay, we're just gonna mix this up and make sure everything's evenly coated. We're gonna put them in the oven for 25 minutes to start, and then we're gonna pull them out, add the garlic, and then bake for another 15 to 20 minutes. That looks great. Let's get these in the oven. Okay, the first 25 minutes in the oven is done. This is how it looks. And let's add the garlic. I'm adding 4 minced cloves of garlic. Spread it out into an even layer. And now I'm gonna put it back in the oven for another 15 minutes. Okay, our roasted chickpea and broccoli burrito filling is done in the oven, and this is how it looks. This looks and smells amazing, and it's time to assemble our burrito. Okay, I've got these awesome giant tortillas, and I'm just going to dollop a healthy portion onto the tortilla. That looks good. Now I'm going to top with avocado, and I'm also going to add a dollop of this tofutti vegan sour cream. Okay, let's roll this baby up. The anticipation is building. So exciting. Let's not waste any more time. It's so good. It's always so good.